everyone. Welcome to Alpha English Podcast, the place where learning English becomes simple, fun, and powerful.
If you want to speak English with confidence, understand real conversations, and improve faster than ever, you're in the right place.
Every episode, we break down English in the easiest way possible.
So get ready to learn, grow, and level up your English.
Let's
Lou,
start the
quick
episode.
question. Did you finish editing yesterday's episode?
Yeah, I did it this morning, actually. Why?
Wait, did you finish editing? Do you realize what you just did?
What do you mean? What did I do?
You just asked me a perfect question. Did you finish editing? That's a full correct question form. Auxiliary verb first, then subject, then the main verb.
Wait, I didn't even notice. I just said it.
And that is exactly what we're talking about today. So today we are talking about how to use question forms correctly.
Honestly, this is one of the topics that trips up even advanced learners. It's not about knowing the words, it's about the order.
Exactly. And once you get the pattern in your head, it becomes automatic, just like it did for Luke a second ago.
Before we jump in, if you're new here, hit subscribe. And if this episode helps you even a little, tap that like button. It genuinely helps the channel grow.
Okay, let's get into it. So the first thing to understand is the basic skeleton of a question in English. Most questions follow this order. Question word, if there is one, then auxiliary verb, then subject, then main verb.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Where do you live? Where, question word, do, auxiliary, you, subject, live, main verb.
Oh, so it's like a chain. Break one link and the whole question sounds wrong.
Exactly. And that's the number one mistake I hear. People keep the word order of a normal sentence instead of flipping it.
I actually had a student once who asked me, "Where you go?" Just like that. And it's such a common mistake because in their language, you don't need to change the order at all.
Right. And that's not something to feel embarrassed about. It's just a different grammar habit that needs to be rewired.
Let's give a quick tip. Tip number 1, always ask yourself, do I have an auxiliary verb and is it in front of the subject?
So to summarize tip 1, question word first if needed, then auxiliary, then subject, then verb. That's your skeleton.
Okay, what's tip 2?
Tip 2 is about the verb to be. This one is actually easier because to be doesn't need do or does at all.
Right, so instead of do you are tired, which sounds strange, you just say,
Are you tired? The be verb jumps to the front by itself. No extra auxiliary needed.
that makes sense. Same with is and was. Is she coming? Was he late?
Exactly. So tip 2, with be verbs, just swap the subject and the verb. No do or does involved.
I feel like once you say it out loud a few times, your mouth just remembers it.
It really does become muscle memory. You know, I want to pause here for a second because I know some of you listening are sitting there thinking, I still mix these up all the time, even after years of studying. And I think about learners who rewind this episode 3 times because they want to get it exactly right. That's not weakness. That's how language actually enters your brain, slowly, in layers, until one day it just clicks without you even trying.
That's such a good way to put it. It's more like sediment settling in a river, layer by layer.
Exactly. So be patient with yourself.
Okay, moving on. What about questions with modal verbs like can, should, would?
Good one. These work the same way as be verbs. They jump to the front directly. Can you help me? Should we leave now? Would you like some tea?
So modals don't need do or does either.
Correct. Tip 3. Modal verbs move to the front just like be verbs. No extra auxiliary required.
I actually said this wrong to a student once. I said, get out the bus. I meant get off the bus, but somehow my brain just swapped it. They looked at me like I had lost my mind.
Wait, get out the bus? That sounds like the bus is a giant object you're removing something from.
I know, and the worst part is I'm the teacher. I'm supposed to be the example.
Well, that actually proves something important. Mistakes happen to everyone, even people who teach the language every day. Let's talk about a tricky area now, question words as the subject.
Oh, this one confuses a lot of people.
Right. Normally we say, who did you see? Question word, auxiliary, subject, verb. But sometimes the question word is the subject, like, who saw you?
Oh, I see. So there's no did there at all.
Exactly. When who or what is asking about the subject of the sentence, you don't add do or did. You just say, who called you? Not who did call you.
So the trick is figuring out, is the question word asking about the doer of the action or the receiver?
Exactly. Quick summary. If the question word is the subject, skip the auxiliary. Who broke the window, not who did break the window.
What about negative questions, like, don't you like coffee?
Good point. Negative questions follow the same skeleton. You just add not, usually contracted. Don't you like coffee? Isn't she coming? Can't you hear that?
And these are often used to express surprise, right? Like, isn't she coming? Sounds like you expected her to come.
Exactly. There's an emotional layer there. Negative questions often carry surprise, disbelief, or sometimes gentle persuasion, like, won't you stay a little longer?
That's such a subtle but important detail. It's not just grammar, it's tone, too.
Right. And that's what makes English fun once you get past the basic rules.
Let's talk about tag questions, too, because I feel like those are everywhere in casual conversation.
Yes, tag questions are those little additions at the end, like, you're coming, aren't you? Or, she doesn't smoke, does she?
The rule is basically if the main sentence is positive, the tag is negative, and if the main sentence is negative, the tag is positive.
Exactly right. It's cold today, isn't it? Positive plus negative tag. You haven't eaten, have you? Negative plus positive tag.
These are so common in casual speech, but people rarely teach them properly.
Totally. And they're a great way to sound more natural and conversational instead of overly formal.
So, quick summary, match the polarity opposite to the main sentence and match the tense and auxiliary too.
I want to take a moment here for another one of those honest moments. I know some of you are learning English later in life, maybe juggling work, family, 100 other responsibilities. And grammar rules like this can feel like just one more mountain to climb. But here's the thing. Every single question you ask correctly, even by accident, like Luke did at the beginning of this episode, is proof that the rule is already living somewhere inside you. You're not starting from zero. You're uncovering something that's already there.
That's beautifully put, honestly.
I mean it. Progress in language learning is rarely a straight line, and that's completely normal.
Let's do one more area before we wrap up. Indirect questions, like when you want to be more polite.
Yes, this is a favorite of mine. Instead of asking directly, where's the station? You might say, could you tell me where the station is?
And notice, the word order changes back to normal inside the indirect question. Where the station is, not where is the station.
Exactly, that's the tricky part. Once a question becomes embedded inside a polite phrase, you lose the inversion.
So it's almost the opposite pattern from what we practiced earlier.
Right, and that's why this one takes extra practice. Your brain wants to keep the inversion out of habit, but indirect questions ask you to let it go.
Quick summary. With indirect questions after phrases like, could you tell me, do you know, or I wonder, go back to normal sentence order.
All right, Luke, let's do a quick little practice moment with our listeners before we close things out.
Okay, listeners, quick challenge. How would you ask your friend if they finished their homework using the correct question form?
If you said, did you finish your homework? Congratulations, that's exactly right.
And if you got it wrong, that's totally fine too. That's literally why we made this episode.
Okay, let's bring it all together now with a full recap.
We started with the basic skeleton: question word, auxiliary, subject, verb.
Then we covered be verbs and modals, which move to the front directly without do or does.
We talked about question words as the subject, where you skip the auxiliary entirely.
We talked about negative questions, which often carry surprise or gentle persuasion.
Tag questions, where the polarity flips opposite to the main sentence.
And finally, indirect questions, where the word order actually goes back to normal for politeness.
That's a lot of ground covered, but each piece builds on the last.
Before we go, I want to leave you with something. If you're the kind of learner who writes these question forms on little sticky notes and puts them on your mirror or whispers them to yourself on the bus, I see you. That quiet, patient effort you're putting in when nobody's watching, that's exactly the kind of work that turns into fluency one day.
That's a really lovely way to close this out.
Thank you, Luke.
All right, everyone. If this episode helped you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Alpha English Podcast so you don't miss the next one.
We'll be back soon with another topic to help you sound more natural and confident in English.
Until then, keep practicing, keep asking questions, literally and figuratively.
Take care, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.